What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to a Fortnight on the Isle, my bi-weekly update series. It has been a long week, a lot of hours worked this week, with a more consistent work schedule coming next week, which will allow for me to do a lot of recording, get a little bit ahead on the channel, because I've actually been behind for a while. But even regardless of the long day, I would say, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm actually feeling really good right now. I got home a little bit earlier than normal, and I'm ready to record this time around. Whereas normally on my Fridays, by the time I get home, man, like I'm kind of ready to go to bed. Don't really feel like recording, but know I need to, so I just kind of go ahead and do it anyway. Kind of how I've been feeling to some degree, but not necessarily a whole lot either. With that being said, let me adjust this a little bit because it's slightly less zoomed in than I would like. There we go. That's a little bit more preferable. Either way, let's just kind of jump into the reading that I did over the last couple weeks, because finally it feels like I actually made some progress for the first time in a second. So first off, I can get it off the bottom of my pile here. I did finally finish The Prophet of Edan by Philip Chase, the second book in the Edan trilogy. Now, this was a really interesting book for one specific reason, and it's in some sense could be considered a spoiler, but it's more in sort of the conceptual structure of the trilogy as opposed to like spoilers for the book. This book has a lot of third book energy to it. It feels like a lot of what happens here is what you might typically experience or expect to find in the finale of a trilogy, which I thought was a very cool decision for Philip to make, because it leads to a much more intriguing and frankly a lot less predictable final book for the trilogy that will come out. What is it, the end of September? I think that final book comes out. I'm looking greatly forward to it. I also did write a review on Goodreads for this book. It's probably the best written review that I've done over there on that site for a good hot minute, because generally it's more like a little dump of sort of thoughts and not like the best thing, you know, in the world. But I've thought that my thoughts, basically what I just said regarding this book just now, in a much more eloquent and well put together, I suppose, way over there. If you are interested in reading that, and assuming you haven't already, that was the first thing that I was able to get done. The next thing was I finished Obsidian Murders by let's see if it'll focus properly. It's actually not Nicole Fox anymore. It's Nicole Brona. I think that's how it's pronounced. That last name is Irish. The reason that changed is because of the logistics and marketing reasons. Apparently there was already a Nicole Fox that publishes like what was it? Dark fantasy? Was it dark fantasy romance? Or was it something different? I don't remember the specifics. You can check out Nicole Pierman's YouTube channel, Nicole's Bookish Nook, for a little bit more detail. She just published a video on it recently. She's changing her pen name for this urban fantasy series because of that reason. So it's not Nicole Fox anymore. It's Nicole Brona. But I did finish the book regardless, and finally, sorry it took so long to do that when I got the arc for this. I got the arc for both these two books like over a month ago, and it took me that long to get to / finish both of them, which is kind of a problem. But yeah, that one was also one that I read. It wasn't my favorite thing in the world, but I didn't dislike it. In fact, I think the weirdest thing about it was that it basically gave me whiplash in the midst of a bunch of epic fantasy, reading a short and very short book and something that's a little bit more modern and written as if it's meant to be brief. It's only a 50,000 word book in the midst of books that are 220,000 words plus each, because that's what all the other books I'm talking about today are 220 or more thousand words. Yeah, 50,000 words flies by, and it's very, very, very quick. But yeah, that is what went down there. Then I also started another reading project, which I'm keeping a secret for now, even though it's kind of an open one and some people already know about it. I believe the next one of these updates and next month, so I guess the July reading wrap up and August TBR that will come out the first Tuesday of August will have a little bit more to say on this topic, and plus another video next month, I believe, as well. Is that how time works? Let me see. No, that's not how time works. It won't be a video that publishes next month. It will be next month that I record that video will have to do with it. But either way, you'll probably know about it. You'll hear about it first next month. But yeah, that's what's going down there. So like I said, a secret. But then I did also continue the Great Hunt. I didn't quite get as far into this over the last week as I should have. Kind of a similar to what happened the week before that. But this time around, it's because I was plowing through this to get this finished, and also plowing through this to get this finished. So I was focusing on those and focusing a little less on the Great Hunt. So I have like 17 chapters that I have to get through by the end of this coming Wednesday, which, considering that it's Friday when I'm recording this, I have several days, including the weekend, to binge a lot of it. And since this will be the only book that I'm focusing on until I finish it, I believe it's probably going to be the case, it shouldn't be really that much of a problem. It really shouldn't, especially with how much I've been enjoying it. Let's see, and the last thing that I need to talk about here is I did also finally continue Empire of Silence again. Finally got a little bit of a chunk in there, so I'm nearing the end ever so slowly but steadily. I have 150 pages left, as opposed to, what, last time did I still have like 200 pages left or something like that? I don't remember, but once I'm finished with the Great Hunt, this will be the only, like primary focused read on my plate until I finish this. Making way for August, which will be a little bit less stressful reading wise than the rest of the summer has otherwise been, because let me tell you what, I need it. Either way, that is all I have for the reading. Let's go ahead and get into the bi-weekly writing real quick. I still have not made the desktop scene, so I can't actually show you the spreadsheet for it. My apologies, I've been too busy reading when I've had free time, so I haven't actually fixed any of these scenes yet. I did get 4,000 words added to the Halfway Hollow outline, so the second book in the Reign of Ash sequence. Although that title might actually change at some point, not entirely certain. It kind of depends on what I like better and if I can still make the title fit based off of what happens later in the book. If I can, I'm going to keep the title. If not, I have an alternate title in mind. So 22 of the scenes for the book have been added, have been completed as of now. There were 18 added over the last couple weeks. I'm thinking the finished version of this will have somewhere around 50 or so scenes, give or take maybe 5 or so, whereas Silent Rain had 59 scenes. I don't think I'll have quite that many scenes in this one, but I will try to have that finished by the end of July, but I'm fairly certain that I will not at this point, which is a little bit unfortunate, but also isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. Sure, it might not keep me on track for finishing all of the outlines by the end of 2024 like I want, but it kind of is what it is when I'm basically writing an entire book or two's worth of words just in outlines. It taking a year or two is perfectly fine by me. I'm not necessarily that worried about it, but in terms of some of the other details, like I said, I did complete. I'm now done with 22 scenes for it. I'm now up to 5,000 words, up to 22 scenes, so I finished parts 1 and 2, which is Act 1 of the book. I actually took a little bit more thought and effort to make work, especially where like sort of the organization and pacing is involved based off of the POVs. But I did eventually get it to work, and I'm happy with it now. I went to start part 3 over the last few days, and couldn't really figure out how to get done what I needed to get done. Nothing was really coming to mind immediately. It wasn't necessarily the easiest, so I didn't actually start working on that. Granted, like I said, it has been a long work week. I've worked over 50 hours last week. In the last week, including last Friday, I've worked like 65 hours or something like that. So I'm a little bit tired in that regard, and most of that time has been spent with another employee training him, so a lot of mental energy is gone because of that. As a result, I wasn't able to work on that as much as I want to, but this coming week, he's actually off. He's off doing something else, and we knew about this even before we hired him. So next week, I'm probably going to have a lot of time at work where I can probably work on this if I'm lucky. So maybe I'll catch back up, maybe I won't. But let's go ahead and get right into the coming releases for both of my channels. Because the last time I talked about the coming releases on the second channel, and we'll get to it, basically none of that happened. But for the main channel, this Tuesday on the 25th, I'll have a review of The Prophet of Adan by Philip Chase coming out. I was able to bump that up a couple weeks because of getting the arc and finishing it a little bit earlier than I was otherwise expecting, and because of other plans on the channel over next month as well. I had to shift some things around. So there might actually be some videos that I recorded back like 2 or maybe even 3 months ago where I make reference to like, oh, this is the video that's coming next Tuesday, where that is absolutely not the video that's coming next Tuesday anymore because of some of these changes in plans. And, I'm not going to re-record or re-edit and upload any of those videos and try to figure out where that is, because why bother? It doesn't really make that much difference in the grand scheme of things. On the 27th, this Thursday, will be the 9th and the final reading diary for The Great Hunt. So like I said, I have like 17 chapters or something like that to read over the next few days, so I've got to get through that, and then somehow manage to fit a discussion of all of that into here, including the finale, which I've heard that the climax of this book is a bit more momentous, maybe perhaps a bit more epic, depending on who you ask, than the first book's climax was, which was rather brief and honestly too brief. So I'm going to have a lot of discussion on that one. That video is probably going to end up more like the length of diary number 7 compared to the lengths of basically all the other diaries. So maybe a half hour or more. We'll see what happens. On August 1st, we're heading into the new month. Kind of crazy that we're already heading into August. That's actually kind of freaky in a way. On August 1st, we'll be coming out the July reading wrap-up and August TBR video, which I did reference earlier, where August is going to be taking a little bit of a step back in some sense on the reading, so that I can, free up my brain just a little bit, and would also give me a little bit of time to do something else, which we'll talk about at the end of this video. On the 3rd, so next Thursday, will be a top 10 video, one that I actually had a lot of fun doing, even though it's a relatively simple concept. It was a top 10 1,000-page novels I still need to read. So I came up with novels that were either 1,000 pages or more, or came close enough to that 1,000-page threshold that I was willing to count it, that I still need to read and want to read. You'll find a few classics there. You'll find a couple modern books. You'll find some that could be considered modern classics to some degree. So there's a little bit of variety there, and I had an enjoyable time with that video as well. On the second channel, over the last couple weeks, neither the Zelda Talk number 2 came out because I just never had a time to edit it, and even when I did, I had no desire to. I've been a little bit too tired for that, and neither of the Remnant from the Ashes episodes 4 or 5, my playthrough with Josh, came out over the last couple weeks either, so those all still need to come out, although episodes 7 and 8 of the Kingdom Hearts 1 playthrough came out. Episodes 9 and 10 of that will come out over the next couple weeks on the 28th and then the 4th, respectively. But everything else that I planned, we'll see. Because I'm in a little bit of a good mood, and it seems I'm going to have a little bit of a longer weekend, and this weekend I do plan to do a lot of recording. Well, this weekend and next week, I plan to get a lot of videos made. Perhaps I'll actually set aside the time needed to, edit the next Zelda Talk video, because it shouldn't need any edits. I just need to cut out a few minutes from the beginning, and then I think it's fine. So it shouldn't even really be that much effort. So I should be able to do that, and then finally put together episodes 4 and 5 of the Remnant playthrough. So those should most likely be coming out on the 24th, 26th, and then the 2nd, respectively. We'll see whether I manage to make that happen, but given that I'm going to just be working a lot on videos this weekend ahead of Remnant 2 releasing, I think it's safe to say that'll actually happen this time around, but no promises. I'm going to absolutely hope so either way. In terms of the entertainment talk, this is kind of what I referenced a couple times briefly, once directly and once indirectly. I did get Remnant 2 preloaded because I did pre-order it. Sorry, I'm generally not an advocate of pre-ordering at all. In fact, pre-ordering tends to be a problem, especially with AAA developers and stuff like that. But because it just kind of encourages poor behavior in terms of development and release and releasing things broken and stuff like that. But I trust this company, and based off of everything that I've seen, including tons of previews, I have no doubts this will be fantastic. Remnant 2, I'm so excited for it. I may or may not be able to get to play it this weekend, but since I'm planning so far ahead on just recording a bunch of videos and editing a bunch of videos as well, I'm not going to plan on it, but I would like to. If I am able to get time with Josh, we might start a run together this weekend. If not, it might not be until next weekend when we can start. Either way, it'll probably be this fortnight that I start playing that game, because as long as I have enough videos, taken care of, uh, sometime next week I'll absolutely start playing a solo run on my own, regardless of anything else. So that's part of the reason why I'm getting stuff done ahead of time, because I've been behind for forever and I want to get ahead again. Like I said, I cannot put into words how hype I am for this. And then another aspect of entertainment talk, I did kind of want to see the new Mission Impossible movie at some point. I don't think it actually came to my theater yet, so when it does, I would like to see that, if it does. Either way, if it does, I'll definitely be seeing it with my dad, because he loves those movies and I've loved the few that I've watched. So I'm interested in doing that. But otherwise, Oppenheimer, the new Christopher Nolan film, I've heard really good things about it from several friends, and I've watched some other stuff on YouTube as well that have just kind of made me really excited for that movie. If that movie comes to my theater as well, I'm definitely going to go watch that one, even though I don't really watch movies. I'm not a huge movie guy, especially not at this point in my life. But I think that is everything that I need to get to in this video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this was a more enjoyable experience than some of the past videos where I've just been tired or maybe annoyed at something or other. I'm feeling really good. All of the stuff that broke in the last video that I recorded, the last Wheel of Time diary, for whatever reason were fixed. I didn't change anything. No restarts or anything like that happened. So I don't know why it's working now when it wasn't working then. Technology is a mystery, but either way, I'm going to hop off of this now and, get changed so I can record a couple other videos this afternoon as well, and then I'll work on getting this one edited. Which, by the time you're watching it, none of those details matter. But thank you guys again for watching. I'll be back. Like I said, it was on Tuesday with a review for this chonky book that I had a great time with. So yeah, that is what's going to be going down. I will see you guys in the next video.